Hello everybody, it's Doomsday Danny, and I am here to give you some tips for how you can survive the Holocaust. If you follow me, I will give you some tips that might just save you one day.
Good morning everyone. This is Danny from VNBR, the Vulture's Nest broadcast radio station. This is my Doomsday Show. This is where I will be explaining things that you need to know that are going to give you an advantage to survive in the case of a nuclear holocaust that really it could descend upon us at any time. Things with Russia and events that are unfolding right now in the Ukraine seem to just be drawing us closer and closer to a nuclear engagement every day. And I started this channel to help other people locate resources and get the information that could be vital in the case someone drops a bomb on us. I mean, you never know what information you're going to need or when you're going to need it. When the worst happens, we will all respond to whatever information we have available or that we know. So the more we educate ourselves, the better prepared all of us are going to be when the worst does happen. I'm going to be searching for credible sources of information, and I will share my resources with you so that you all can check it out for yourself. I am not a member of a prepper community. I'm not a government employee. I'm not in the military. I'm not an emergency responder. I'm just a mom that's trying to take care of my family. I grew up during the Cold War, so I guess I've always expected the Holocaust to happen eventually. And, you know, when I was in college, I did study a lot of emergency management type courses in grad school. So what I'm very good at is research, and I will do the research for you and share my findings with you. If you would like to send your comments or your questions to survivedoomsdaydisasters@gmail.com, I will make videos and answer questions. I will be active in the comments if you would like to leave a comment. This isn't about me necessarily telling you what to do. It's about all of us doing what we can to make the proper choices for our family and our circumstances so that hopefully all of us will be able to survive the Holocaust. And if you've not done it yet, if you could please like and subscribe to my channel, that would be great. Also, if you share my links with your friends and family members, maybe some of the information on this program will actually help them save their lives as well. So the more information we can share with each other, the better off we'll all be. Knowledge is power, and the more you learn, the more powerful you are. The more information you can accumulate, the better prepared you're going to be for any situation, but especially if a nuclear attack were to occur. I do have some affiliate marketing programs that I will tell you guys about on each episode. These are just products that I am looking for and selecting that I think can be helpful to people. If you can't use any of the programs or products, please don't invest. But if it's something that you can use that you think would benefit you later, then please consider them. And please use my links so that you can help support this work that I'm doing with this program. So this video, I'm actually using a resource from grad school. It's called the U.S. Armed Forces Nuclear, Biological, and Chemical Survival Manual. It's written by Dick Couch. And you can also look in my description for a link to purchase a copy of this book for yourself if you would like. It's also on my website. So this is a series of videos, and I'm going to be working through this book and sharing information with you. The first video I made was about the importance of setting up a family emergency plan. The second video I made was about the sort of supplies you should think about getting together. It's not a detailed list of every kind of supply or sets of supplies, but it's a general overview. The more this program goes on, the more we will get into specifics. But for now, I'm still trying to give everybody an overview of everything. Today's program, we're going to talk about history and some specific facts about nuclear weapons. Now, there's a lot of good videos on YouTube that go into the math and science of nuclear weapons and how they work and what would happen during a nuclear detonation. and what we could be dealing with in an attack type situation. I'm going to summarize my findings, but I do suggest that you check out the videos I've linked in the descriptions below, because they're going to have lots of really good animations that will help you frame this better and start understanding what we're dealing with for yourself. Now, let me give you a little bit of history about nuclear weapons first. There have only been 2 times that nuclear bombs have ever been dropped on populated areas. Both of those times occurred in August of 1945, and the United States was responsible for both bombings. I'm sure you've heard of the 2 cities that were bombed, the first one being Hiroshima, Japan. Now, what happened in Hiroshima is we had been fighting a tough war against the Japan in World War II following the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And we had instituted a strategy called island hopping. What island hopping basically entailed was we would do a land invasion of an island in the Pacific, and we would basically fight everyone on the island and take the island over, and then we'd build a military base on it. Then we would move to the next island. Well, this campaign had taken a long time. The Japanese were really, really tough, and we were losing a lot of people, and so were the Japanese. And the president didn't really see an end in sight to this carnage, and he wasn't sure we could even beat the Japanese. They were that tough. So when we finally developed the capacity to actually deploy a nuclear weapon, he decided that it would be a good option to use it to try to get Japan to surrender to us and end the war. He knew it would cost a lot of lives, but it was hoping in the long run it would save more. So in August we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. The Japanese did not surrender. So the president is now in a unique position where he needs to escalate, or all of this was for nothing. So he makes the call to drop a second bomb 3 days later on Nagasaki, which is another Japanese city. This bomb was a bigger bomb, but it did less damage because of the landscape around Nagasaki had mountains and hills, and it absorbed part of the blast. So fewer people died in Nagasaki than they did in Hiroshima. But this was enough to make the Emperor of Japan go, okay, I surrender, and I surrender unconditionally. He knew a lot more of his people were going to die if he kept pushing it. So altogether, with these 2 bombs, there were over 100,000 casualties. That's a lot. There are many more people that have suffered long-term health problems as a result of these bombings due to radiation exposure. But those numbers are not really calculated in the initial death toll, which was 100,000. Most of the data that we have on nuclear weapons and their destructive capabilities on civilian populations are based on calculations that were derived from this data that we collected after these first 2 bombs were dropped. Why? Because it's the only data we have on what a nuclear weapon will do to a civilian population in a city. They haven't been dropped in any other cities, so that's what we have. Hopefully they won't be dropped in any other cities, and that's the only data we will ever have. That would be wonderful. But basically the bomb that was dropped in Hiroshima was just over 10 kilotons, which is about 1,000 pounds of TNT, the equivalent of that. Today's nuclear weapons are much, much larger. The largest one, the Tsar Bomba bomb, which Russia detonated, was over 130 times more powerful than Hiroshima. Now that's probably not going to be the scale of weapon that's deployed against us, but an 800 kiloton weapon, yeah, that's well within range of possible, and that that's about 100 times more powerful than Hiroshima. So basically, the U.S. was the first country to develop nuclear weapons, but we weren't alone for very long. Right now, there are several countries that have nuclear weapon programs. Russia is the world leader in nuclear stockpiles, followed closely by the United States. Other countries that have nuclear weapons include China, North Korea, Israel, India, Pakistan, France, and the UK. And most of the nuclear arms treaties that have limited nuclear proliferation up to this point have either expired or been abandoned now. So we really are entering a frightening new era where all the checks and balances that world leaders have put in place to help prevent an Armageddon are no longer in place to protect us or the rest of the world. I mean, I could be wrong about this, but I don't really see a way that our world leaders are doing anything to run out and fix it either. I really feel like we are just sliding right back into the Cold War era, and I don't really think the population is as prepared for it today as we once were. I don't think families are really taking this risk very seriously, or maybe folks just don't really know where to start or what they can do. I hope I can help you guys figure out, some steps that you can start taking. So let's talk about what happens during a nuclear detonation, so you know what you're dealing with here. Please check out the excellent videos that I've linked down below. I don't know any of these content creators personally, but I have evaluated the videos I've linked, and I think they're doing a great job of explaining how nuclear weapons work and all the math involved in calculating potential fatalities and areas of damage effect and that kind of thing. So I'm not going to go into all the details. I'm just going to run through some numbers with you real quick. I'm not a math person, so I'm going to count on all of you to evaluate the calculations that are presented in the videos for yourself. I'm not going to double guess these people that have put together these simulations and videos, because I'm sure they're better at math than I am. But just keep in mind, I have not checked the numbers myself. I'm not even quite sure how to check the numbers myself. So with that said, I'm also going to warn you that this stuff's going to get real deep, real dark, and real scary very fast. If you don't want to know details about exactly what to expect in a nuclear explosion, you might want to go ahead and just watch something else right now, because we're getting ready to do a deep dive. So if you only want to check out a single video, please check out the YouTube video by Neil Halloran. It was called Simulation of a Nuclear Blast in a Major City. I have it linked down below. Neil worked with a team that's affiliated with the Nobel Peace Prize, and they did such an amazing job with this video. It's a really practical, simple explanation of what occurs in a nuclear detonation. It can help us estimate the zones of effect, the blast radius, and potential death tolls. But yet they made it in such a nice way that they were able to present truly terrifying scenarios without the video looking terrifying, graphic, or gory in any way. They did an excellent, excellent job. So I really recommend this video. It's less than 15 minutes long, so it's definitely worth a watch. So here is my really brief synopsis of the information that Neil presented in his video. He based the film on the effects of an 800 kiloton bomb being detonated at an altitude of 500 meters over a city of 4 million people. Now, an 800 kiloton bomb, like I just said, is about 100 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. And it's about a normal size for a modern weapon. So this simulation, in other words, is based within the realm of realism. This is pretty accurate. So it's also based on an air detonation. Now, why would you want to detonate a weapon in the air? Well, pretty simply, when it explodes, it produces a fireball. If you do it in the air, you can maximize the blast radius so that the The center of the fireball covers the most square footage of ground area. This is what we did in Hiroshima too. There's some pluses and some minuses to this technique. The advantage is that fewer people are going to die in the long run because there's going to be less nuclear fallout with an air burst than there is with a ground burst, because there's less dust getting thrown up into the air. The bad thing is it covers a larger area, so your impact zone is larger, but that's the point of exploding it in the air, is so that it will cover a larger area. So how does this work? Basically, once the bomb detonates, everything within 800 meters, so that's about 8 or 9 football fields distance away from the center, it's going to be vaporized, just vaporized. In this zone, you're not going to feel anything, but you're almost going to have a 0 chance of survival. Is it possible? Yes, but it'll be pure luck probably. Nothing you can do at that point. All buildings within 2 kilometers of the blast are going to be just destroyed. Most of them completely destroyed, blown over, on fire. Yeah, it's not going to be pleasant. Within 2 kilometers of ground zero, where the bomb detonates, there's only a 2% survival rate. I know that sounds grim. So that means that the bomb goes off, boom, 120,000 people are instantly killed. That's major, right? The intense heat from the blast can actually cause your clothing or even your skin that's exposed to catch on fire. And it can cause 3rd-degree burns up to 11 kilometers from the center of the explosion. That's pretty far from the center of the explosion. You can still get 3rd-degree burns by being outside. Yeah, so if you are lucky and survive the initial blast, the next hazard is going to be falling debris from all the buildings and structures that were just annihilated in the explosion. So at least half the people between 2 and 11 kilometers from the blast zone are going to be killed instantly. Or maybe not instantly, but very shortly after, like in the immediate aftermath. They're going to be heavily affected by radiation sickness, and that can take up to a week for you to die from. A week. I think I'd rather be in the vaporization zone than the radiation sickness zone, personally. So altogether, that is another 500,000 people. So now we're up to 720,000 people, and this is all in the first 5-10 minutes of the blast. So now, is there anything good here? Well, even if you're within 11 kilometers of the impact point of a nuclear detonation, you still have a 50% chance of survival. That's not bad. I mean, it's not great, but it's not bad, even that close to a bomb. I think we often think that a bomb will wipe out everybody within an entire city, when that's not really the case. Our chance of survival is much higher than that. Once you move away from the 11-kilometer mark and move out from that, the chances of survival go up drastically. So in this scenario, you have about 80 to 85% of a chance to survive a nuclear bomb dropping on a city that you live in. That's really huge. I mean, I think that a lot of us just think it's lights out. End of times. There's no hope. When that's not the case. Most of us will survive. Most of us will die right, following it because we don't know what to do. And we do dumb things. For instance, the next consideration is going to be nuclear fallout. That's when all the dust that was blown up into the air by all these buildings being just destroyed, all that dust is going to go up into the air and it's going to get irradiated, which makes it radioactive. And then it's going to start falling. You have about 15 minutes to avoid it falling on you. And trust me, nuclear fallout is very, very dangerous, and you want to do everything you can to avoid contact with it. It's what will kill most people because they're not going to be careful. In future episodes, I'm going to discuss specific procedures that you should follow in the aftermath of an attack that can protect you and your family. But I'm going to give you a hint. Most of my tips are going to be centered around how to reduce your exposure to this particular radiological threat, nuclear fallout. So, I did an informal survey of my family, and I asked them what they thought our chances of survival were if the Russians nuked Washington, D.C. Now, I live about a little over an hour outside of Washington, D.C. in Virginia. So, I'm not super close to the city, but it is a major city, and let's be honest, I think everyone realizes that Washington, D.C. would be a major target for a Russian nuclear attack. I think anyone in the country would probably agree with that. So, me posing that question isn't out of the realm of possibility. Anyway, everyone in my family figured we would die. They were just like, oh, well, we'd be dead. No. There's well over an 80% chance of our survival because we are quite a ways from D.C. in square kilometers. So our biggest threat is going to be nuclear fallout, where I'm located, and where most of you are probably located. There's nothing we can do if we're in ground zero. You know, you can prepare all you want. If you're in ground zero, you're just gone. There's nothing really to protect you. You don't know when it's coming. But if you're not on ground zero, then there's lots and lots of things you can do. And this is what this show is about, to teach you guys. It's not hopeless. We can survive this, guys. It's going to take ingenuity and thoughtfulness and planning. And even if you're not prepared with all the necessities you need, if you're mentally prepared, that might be the difference. So, for this episode, I'm actually going to attach a few different affiliate products. Basically, the first one's a book from Amazon, and it's a survival medicine handbook. It's the essential guide for when help is not on the way, and it was written by Joseph and Amy Alton. Basically, I realized that I am not certified in CPR. I am not currently up to date on my basic first aid. So I'm going to go and get those certifications so that I know that I have that training for me and my family. But I also realize before I get that done that a bomb could fall out of the sky at any time. So I'm going to get this book. I'm going to keep it in my house. I'm going to put it down in my safe area. If anything happens and I don't have access to the internet or to medical personnel, or things go totally sideways, then hopefully some of the information in this book will help me and my family during medical emergencies. I realize this is not ideal. I realize that this is not a substitute for medical training. But I will feel better having this in my house than nothing at all. So I'm not recommending that you guys use this as a substitute for medical training, or that you rely completely on this to save you. What I'm saying is, with the option of having nothing else, this is a first step I'm taking to have that resource available to me offline and on hard copy, like in a book. So I'm not, if my electronics are all out, I can still access this information. The second affiliate link I'm adding is for this really neat, it's an instant email download, or maybe not email, but it's an instant download. So you can get this as soon as you purchase it. And it's actually blueprints for building a family bunker at your house. Now, I know a lot of you probably rent or live in an area where building a bunker just is not possible. Or other people like me probably just don't have the skills or resources to ever undertake such a massive project. But for those that do want to start looking into building a bunker at home, I want you to be able to have access to this resource. I mean, until I found this, I wouldn't have known how to start building a bunker. But they go over all kinds of things, like the electric and the water system and filtering and everything you really need to know. Like I said, it's way over what I would be able to do or embark upon, but during the Cold War, a lot of families considered it a civic duty to build a bunker at home, and some of you may be interested in learning what's involved in that, so that's why I'm including this. Again, if it's not something that you can use, just please overlook it and move on to something that your family can use. If you feel these resources will be helpful to you and your family, then please visit my website or just click the link below in the description to get your copies. You can also find links to the book I'm using in this video. And on my website are all my other affiliate programs if you want to go check those out and not just wait for a video to mention them. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and if you've not done it yet, please like, subscribe to, and share my channel with your friends and loved ones. This is Doomsday Danny from VNBR signing off for tonight. Come back and we will be broadcasting again until the Holocaust signs us off for good. Rest well, everyone. Danny, over and out.